When I was little, my father was famous. He was the greatest samurai in the empire.
Hey everybody, Jerry Williams, aka Greater Sapien here. Thanks for your time. We have now reached number 11 of Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. Dubé states, a surveyor and engineer of 30 years published in the Birmingham Weekly Mercury stated, I am thoroughly acquainted with the theory and practice of civil engineering. However bigoted some of our professors may be in the theory of surveying according to the prescribed rules, yet it is well known amongst us that such theoretical measurements are incapable of any practical illustration. All our locomotives are designed to run on what may be regarded as true levels or flats. There are, of course, partial inclines or gradients here and there, but they are always accurately defined and must be carefully traversed. But anything approaching to 8 inches in the mile, increasing as the square of the distance, could not be worked by any engine that was ever yet constructed. Taking one station with another all over England and Scotland, it may be stated that all the platforms are on the same relative level. The distance between eastern and western coasts of England may be set down as 300 miles. If the prescribed curvature was indeed as represented, the central stations at Rugby or Warwick ought to be close upon 3 miles higher than the cord drawn from the two extremities. If such was the case, there is not a driver or stoker within the kingdom that would be found to take charge of the train. We can only laugh at those of our readers who seriously give us credit for such venturesome exploits, as running trains around spherical curves. Horizontal curves on levels are dangerous enough. Vertical curves would be 1,000 times worse, and with our rolling stock constructed as, at present, physically impossible. Okay, I want to look at this in two ways. First, Dubé is once again reaching back 130 years, February of 1890, to a letter to a newspaper by someone no one can confirm is a real person. This proof is basically a rewording of proof number 9. There's this guy that says that they don't build things for the curve, and obviously that's not proof of anything. But let's briefly look at the claim that this supposed surveyor and engineer. He says that the locomotives are meant to run on true levels and admits that they can run on partial inclines or gradients. So I guess true level isn't exactly a requirement, is it? Now, I'm going to just briefly mention the fact that true level follows the curve of the Earth by definition, and look at the way that this surveyor characterizes the curve, and all globe deniers do this. He says, 8 inches in the mile increasing as the square of the distance. And like all globe deniers, he speaks as if the curve is getting steeper with each additional mile. That's why he writes, could not be worked by any engine that was ever yet constructed, and measurements are incapable of any practical illustration. Because they think that the Earth curves like this. This is 8 inches times each mile squared. Oh, here, let me pull back and show you more of their Earth curve formula. This parabolic path is the 8 inches times the square of the distance that they think they would need to run the train on. Actually, the way they speak of it is worse than that. They talk like the first mile is an 8-inch drop, and the next mile has a 32-inch drop, and the third mile 72 inches. But no, the drop over each mile is the same as the first mile. The drop between mile 1 and 2 is 8 inches. The drop between mile 2 and 3 is 8 inches. Every mile is that first mile. Do you not understand that, people? Every mile is the first mile. This surveyor and engineer speaks like a train would be on a steep-ass grade, when in fact, over the length of the 50 or 60 feet between the train car wheels, the drop, which is not a drop at all, it's gravitationally level, would be less than 1/30th of a millimeter on a perfect geometric sphere, which of course the Earth is not, and the local terrain is much more uneven than that at every single location on the planet. And if you're a driver or a stoker that can't control a train on a drop that's less than the width of a human hair, then you should be fired. Because you suck at what you're doing. Just like Dubé.
That's my job, that's what I do!
Thank you for your time. Please remember to like, subscribe, hit that little bell, and if you're interested in more from me, you can check out my AKA Greater Sapien channel, where I talk about everything else but the science deniers, and the Greater Apes podcast channel, where you'll see hours of nerdy but candid conversations between myself and my friend Jesse Vale. If you subscribe to my various channels, I can pretty much guarantee you'll get new content every day. And if you want early access to these and other unique videos, you can join my Patreon, links to all of which are in the description. Take care, everybody.
Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Maybe you came by to congratulate me on last night's victory.